Welcome to the Love and Victory Show with Val, where we will bring you candid conversation. In each conversation, we will talk about real life ups and downs while tackling unresolved matters. We will also unmask issues and truly speak straightforward and candid about our needs and brokenness, while allowing ourselves to exhale so that we can become victorious. This is a place where you can be open to the possibilities of living life in abundance while gaining tools to become bold and complete. So let's get to it.
Well, we're back. I hope y'all enjoyed that music because I did. I thought Miss Abigail was going to get my song on there, Smile. I missed it. Oh, I was running my mouth, huh? Oh, okay. Did y'all enjoy it? That's one of my favorite songs, Well, she got it on there.
I did.
Well, now it's time for us to get this show going. And before we get going, we're going to do the introduction of our beautiful guests. They're going to look into the camera. Brother Carter is not here, and he has a way of introducing people that only he can do. So what I'm going to do it a little different.
Ooh.
Tell me if I'm doing it okay, Brother Carter. I'm going to ask you guys to look into the camera and tell them who you are. I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to start with Dr. V.
All right. So again,
Look into that camera.
Thank you for having me. My doctorate, a fun thing to have. So what I did, I created a training to help build women, help you look good, feel good, and on the side of that, I became a motivated speaker, wrote many books. And one of the things I want to really impress is that I decided to take a journey with the Lord and seek Him in all that I do. And that's one of my favorite platforms where I talk about. So that is me.
And she's also a minister, ordained minister. So she is definitely a woman equipped.
Thank you.
To speak to the souls of many women. So, okay then. And of course, Dr. B, if you can look at him and tell him who you are.
Oh, man. So thank you all so much for this. My name is Dr. Mamawah Bourque.
Mm-hmm.
I'm, some people call me Dr. B.
Mm-hmm.
My patients call me Dr. B. And I'm a pelvic floor physical therapist. I've been a therapist over 12 years. And have worked in a lot of different settings. And I felt called and driven towards a change on or around the time where everybody was feeling a change around pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so at that time, I really shifted gears from general therapy for patients with neurological deficits or disabilities to going fully into women's health, well, pelvic health, because I do treat men and women. But I am very passionate about women's health, and I have a practice here in Houston called Awareness Pelvic Health, where I treat primarily pelvic health dysfunction. Mm-hmm. So that's challenges with bladder leaks, pain with sex or intercourse, constipation, tailbone pain, pelvic pain, hip pain, but I still can treat a little bit of everything because I'm a PT first, and the pelvis is just the primary area that I treat.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, oh yeah. So I do a lot of community events to give education to the public, the community, whenever I can. Pretty active on social media.
Mm-hmm. Yes, she is. She is. I love it.
And I am just grateful for the opportunity to be able to speak to your listeners and give education on things that most people do not have a clue about.
I think a lot of times people are just uncomfortable asking the why, when it's something in their body. So we're going to sit down and we're going to just have a conversation like we're just in the living room today.
Wait, are we not going to introduce you?
Well, I have no introduction needed here. No, just teasing.
She's Val. She's the queen.
Oh,
It's the Love and
God.
Victory Show with Val.
Oh God. Oh God.
The one and only.
I absolutely love the platform that God has placed me on to be able to have a conversation, start a conversation, be a part of a conversation so that we can heal. So, and I wouldn't have it without Brother Carter, who is the best co-host ever. I know that he's not here today where you can see him, but he is definitely online listening. Okay, then let's go.
What about
Abigail? Oh,
Yeah.
oh God. Okay. Abigail is our behind the scene, our executive producer, coordinator. She is amazing. How are you?
I'm great.
Okay.
I'm happy to be here. I'm excited for this show.
Okay then. And Aaron. Anna is talking about me today.
Wow. I've been here 2 shows in a row.
I know.
You're just going to switch names on me like
that. That's okay. That's okay.
I'm Erin. I'm the administrative coordinator here, and I'm having a very good time.
She keeps me together. She makes sure that everything is organized. And now it's time for the acronym, and we're going to jump right into this show.
Yes, of course. Today we're talking about when the system fails you, talking about how the system doesn't treat people fairly, and certain communities are left at a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
The acronym is supposed to kind of set the tone for the conversation to give us something to go off of. So the word of the day is justice. J is for just, based on or behaving according to what is morally right and fair. U is for umpteenth, relating to something that has happened on several other occasions. S is for steadfast, unwavering in position or support. T is for tactless, insensitive to the feelings of others. I is for intrepid, unafraid, fearless. C is for cavalier, casually dismissive. And then E is for excessive, more than what is needed or wanted.
With that being said, we're going to give each other justice today. We're going to just break that thing down so that we can start healing from when the system failed us. And so let's just jump into this conversation. And I'm going to ask you, ladies, when you heard the title, When the System Fails You, what was your first thought? Anyone can take that.
For me, it was the health disparities in, many populations, with women's health, with Black women's maternal mortality rate, fertility challenges that our country is going through at this time. And I just was thinking more so in the healthcare field.
It's so funny you brought up fertility issues. I want us to put a pin, and if you could, because I want to come back to that, because this may be a little political, because I'm struggling with how do you say the right to life, and then you turn around and you want to have a problem with someone trying to get pregnant. So I just want to have a conversation, just a little bit, since I have some doctors and some doctors in here. They want to find out from you as women, how do y'all feel about that? So we'll come back to that. When you heard the title of the show, what did you think?
My goodness, I thought about the systems, and I named 12 just thinking about the systems. But I thought about our education, awareness. I thought about our diverse representation of diversity. I thought about our government, politics. I thought about our legislators, our policies, our healthcare system, our medical, and I went on and on. And I thought about our civics. I thought about our world, just our world of culture, like
what's happening.
So what's happening? Everything.
It's and I thought you ladies were definitely befitting for this show when Abigail and I were coming up with the show title and what we wanted the show to be about, because I thought, okay, I have a woman in ministry, and she's also a therapist, counselor, and then I have another doctor who is a therapist from the medical side. And I wanted to really talk about how the system can fail you in church, how the system, and I'm going to go there, how the system can fail you in healthcare, but also how the system fails you as a woman and a man, and what can we do to bridge the gap? So, with that being said, I kind of want to just start off with medical.
Mm.
You know,
good.
let's talk about the system failing you in the medical community. Have you ever experienced it? Even though you work in it, they don't know that when you present yourself to uh, for treatment. Do they know? Do you walk in with, "I am in healthcare. I know it all"? Have you ran into that?
Personally, I would say yes. I think across the spectrum, I think most people would say they've had some form of frustration with the medical system from various areas. Number one, the lack of time we put into preventative care.
Mhm.
I think our system is set up to be reactive or to treat a thing versus to prevent a thing.
Mhm.
And so, from that aspect of things, I think many people are failed daily because the intent isn't the why.
Mhm.
In some cases, the intent is let's what's going on with you. Let's address the thing that's going on with you versus why is this thing going on with you. Let's take a deep dive into that and figure out the root cause so we can prevent future challenges.
You know, I think when I think about the Carter Crew listeners, and since you're here, and I think you're so perfect for this question, and I want to take it a step further because I don't want them to fall off. When I think about women or men that are struggling, because you mentioned, what do you deal with? Pain and
Yes, everything from pain in the pelvis to bladder leaks,
but intercourse.
sex.
Yeah, let's go there. You know,
That's good.
and the reason that we're adults here, you know, this show is for over the age of 18. But I do think this is a great platform to have this conversation on. One of the things that I think a lot of times why the system fails you is because, one, you're afraid to have the conversation about things that maybe is not the norm. You know, I've been with this person for 100 years. I should naturally feel good about wanting to have intercourse or have sex. Or I've been in the church. Why am I not feeling connected? You know, so I want to just kind of let's talk about that. Why is it so much shame with a woman or a male struggling in that area?
Yeah. So for me, I think this is just systematically we failed people for sexual health as a whole. From the time when people are going through puberty and they have a lack of understanding of what their body is doing, what are the changes? We kind of provide a surface education on you know, you don't want to get you don't want to get pregnant, you don't want disease. But no one ever talks about what is sexual pleasure. Pleasure was sent whatever you believe. Pleasure is we have pleasure organs, and we don't see our sexual organs as requiring the same health as maybe our heart does, you know, as the same as our brain. We don't want to, and the system doesn't set it up that way. There's a lot of shame placed on the sexual organs in the sense of how things are communicated. It's very surface. So when in my clinic, I tend to see people that you can't even identify areas on their vulva. You know, people still call the entire area the vagina, and it's the vulva. They don't know where their clitoris is. So, you know, self-exploration is there's a lot of shame in self-exploration, I mean, just say it. Masturbation is also considered something taboo in many spaces, you know? So when you don't understand your body, it's really hard to have your partner understand your body in a way that provides pleasure. And sometimes when that situation becomes a place of pain, you know, when people experience pain during sex, they wouldn't know that is not normal. That is not common. That shouldn't be that way. and they bear through it. They're told to just have a glass of wine and relax. And we have muscles that live inside of our pelvis that are similar to the muscles in our shoulders.
Well, I think sometime, and I appreciate you saying that so much, because I think sometime not only are we not addressing it, but sometimes people talk over it.
Yeah.
Because it's over the level. And that's the same thing in our walk with God. You know, and I'm just turning to you in a little bit too, because it all works hand in hand. You know, our walk, we talk over it because it's over our head, because it's so, we've been taught, like you said, don't have sex until you're ready to, till you're married. Don't talk about it, you know, don't have a baby, you know, just, but we're not really talking about how these things are going to impact your body long term. So I see. Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say, in reference to, you know, the conversation we're having, I think a lot of times people are left at a disadvantage because maybe they're naive or they're unaware. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't know. And I think that's kind of what you were saying, right? And I just want to expand on it too, because, you know, I have people in my life that are like more experienced and some people that are less experienced. And like, I'm a very like open person. I'll talk about my experiences and say like, that's weird. Maybe you shouldn't be dealing with that. Like maybe you should go to the doctor and advocate for yourself. But if healthcare providers are just being like expecting you to kind of already know what's weird and what you should look out for, then they might not ask the right questions to somebody who doesn't know what's right or wrong, or like what I should be concerned about and what I shouldn't be concerned about when it comes to your health and stuff.
I like that. And I'm going to turn this over to Dr. V. Dr. V, even you say that you advocate for women. Advocating for women, sometimes you have to sit down and talk to women. Do you find in your conversation with women that that's some of the areas that they're struggling with too, with their mates, and how do you help them?
So what I found, there's culturally, there is a lot of differences culturally. I'll start with myself first. Thank God for the education. We couldn't talk about sex. We couldn't voice our opinion about sex. We couldn't ask questions, curiosity. That's why it's 5 of us, and I think, and I mean, this is real truth here. I'm really enjoying what we're talking about. And I think when you don't know and you're not taught, you go out there and you make accidents. You do things because you don't know. You don't have understanding of it because you're a mom or that adult has never talked to you about your menstrual flow, and there you are in school and this happens to you, and then you know you're taking a shower and here comes a friend say, hey, you know, girl, that's your flow. But you were never taught that. And so it's all these things that happens in the home. It starts in the home with you being taught. So culturally, I didn't know until I started getting educated, started getting out, that it's okay to talk about sex. It's okay to get understanding. Because if I understand that back here, maybe that would not have happened. But when we talk about disparities and we talk about the healthcare and we talk about medical, we're still dealing with your zip code area. Where you live has a lot to do with your insurance. And then when you go, even when you have good insurance, I was just taking a mammogram test and they said to me, do you want pads or no pads? I'm like, what? What do they mean by that? You want, so either your insurance, if you have good insurance, it will pay for the pads, because when you go for a breast exam, it's still. So either you can get the pads when it's squeezing, when you're getting the the exam, or if you can't afford it, then you have to deal with the pressure
Oh.
of the mammogram. Isn't that crazy?
Well, I think, and I'm going to come back to you, I think that it does play a lot in your zip code. And I love when you said the zip code. It's your surrounding, your community and what you've been exposed to. And I love using that word because what you've been exposed to dictates how you think about things, how you advocate for yourself. And ultimately, the doctor that's going to be sitting in front of you. You want someone that is concerned about your whole body. You know, that's going to be, even if you can't ask the question, they know the question that they should be asking you. And when it comes to women, and I know my husband is sitting there saying, Brother Carter's like, I'm glad I'm not sitting on this on this set right now. But when it comes to sex, you know, I think that is so important for women to feel comfortable having, especially as you get older. So many things are going to happen with your body that you never even had a conversation about early on. So you just dismiss it and you just kind of keep going on. And it really does play into your self-esteem. You know, you said earlier, Dr. V, that you struggle with self-esteem.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and when you have a low self-esteem, you tend to do things. And I'm not talking about you. I'm just going to say, period, across the board, whether it's a male or a female. You tend to do things that is harmful to you because, and people see that like a big sign. They take advantage of that because you have a low self-esteem. And so you really need to kind of learn and talk about, since we're talking about the body, the female body, the sex, you need to learn more about your body and be proud or be comfortable in asking questions. Yes, Abigail.
That's good.
That actually made me think of something that I'm pretty passionate about myself. And Aaron, if you could pull up the comment that says, I think we must promote sex for marriage. Sex outside of marriage should be denounced as a pathway to sin and destruction. And I kind of want to push back on that a little bit. I think if that is a belief and a value you have, then you should do that. I think when it comes to, and you brought up the zip code thing, in the state of Texas, at least as far as the last time I checked, abstinence-only education is the standard for sex education in public schools. And I remember being a freshman in high school and going to an assembly where they told us only about abstinence. And that was it. And, you know, I knew there were people in that room
Prevention
that had already had sex. And so what kind of education are you providing to the people who don't necessarily believe or value that? And I think that leaves people at a disadvantage. Yes, I think that's beneficial. And I think that should be kind of also a part of sex education to be like, you know, this is a way to 100% prevent pregnancy, STDs, all of the things, but you can't guarantee that people are going to do that. And the seriousness of like sexual health is not talked about. You have to seek it out yourself, and not a lot of people have the capacity, or maybe they have like family that like isn't allowing them to explore that. And so
Dr. Bourque, I know, Dr. B, come on. I know you want some of this. So go ahead, jump on it. She sat up in her chair. You're like, I'm getting this. Go ahead.
Okay.
Very good.
So I'm gonna speak on this a little bit, because in my clinic, I often have women who have, you know, chosen to abstain from sexual activity until marriage. I have women that also had previously been sexually active and then stopped for either faith or trauma or just their healing of their own body. And when they get into their marriage, they now have challenges even receiving penetration, being able to have intercourse with their partner at all, meaning their vaginal canal does not open to be able to have sex with their partner, meaning penis and vagina sex. And so then they're frustrated because now they're ready to have children. Now they're ready to attempt it, and they don't even understand their pleasure, or they are not able to at all. And so that's one of the reasons why I think that if you're going to hold off this conversation too late, you're not being preventative.
There you go.
You're not being preventative. You're not giving people the opportunity to have the power to understand their body.
You know, and I actually want to dig into that. And it's so funny Abigail brought that up, because today kids are exploring sex at a much younger age
Yeah.
and at a whole different level than we could even imagine. And so I do believe that there is a conversation, that a healthy conversation that should start with the parents, in the child at home. Now, and in school, if you're going to have that conversation, I do think that you need to be prepared to have that conversation with all of those kids in there, because not all of them, as she said, there are kids in there that have been exposed to it. There are kids in that assembly that may have been abused. And so how do you tell that kid that has been abused, don't do it? It was done to them. So let's just think about that. Yes, Aaron.
Yeah, I was reflecting on everything, and you had said something about, like, maybe it's a conversation with the parent, right? But kind of going back to our conversation of systems and everything, when the systems fail, right? I mean, you could probably make a lot of arguments. It's like, a lot of family systems are failing like this. And so I don't know, like, it's good to recognize that there are problems in systems, and like no system is ever going to be fully perfect, right? But I also think we should take into consideration that the point of these conversations is to also build solutions as well. I think sometimes we can get really fixated on, like, no, it should be like this, and everyone is entitled to their opinion, and I'm not going to discredit anyone to their beliefs, right? But we have to make sure that as we're having these fruitful conversations, and like people with different perspectives, that we're working towards solutions as a community.
And that's one of the things that we do here on the LV with Val, because we will always, we're not going to ever end on just putting out a problem.
Yeah.
But you have to put the problem out up front in order to get to the end. So Aaron, I appreciate you bringing that out. I want to do something a little different. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, I want us to come back talking about when the system fails you as a child, when you have been harmed either in the school, in the church, or as a young adult. When the system fails, how do we help that healing process happen? Do you understand where I'm going with that?
I do.
Yes, I think we need to. Are we ready? All righty. Well. Abigail is really petty. She would pick this song is going down on LV with Val this morning. It really is going down. We're having this open conversation, and I love it. And it's a conversation that is sometimes uncomfortable for other people. And it's even uncomfortable for us as women to have this conversation, because sometimes we worry about what other people think. So now we're going to go back to my question, and I'm going to throw this at Dr. B. Dr. B, you remember the question I asked before we went off set?
You said, what do we do when the system fails our children as a child and into young adulthood?
Yes. Yeah. So and I said that in regards to talking about sexual education. We also, in talking about it, even when it has been thrust upon our kids unwillingly. So I really want to go there. Let's talk about that.
So to me, and this might feel a little controversial, but I truly believe that young children, and I'm going to go as young as 4 or 5, as soon as they have a level.
Before I go there, before you go there, you are a mother. You are a wife and a mother. And let's talk about your children's age, so that you can give some context to this conversation that you're giving, statement you're getting ready to make.
Absolutely. So I have 3 children. I have 2 boys and a girl. And my children, I have a teenager that's 14. I have a 9-year-old, and I have a 6-year-old.
Okay, there you go. So well equipped. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the reason why I stated that we're going to have to go back down to as young as 4 and 5. If we're going to ask parents to be, the advocates or for sexual health, they need to start earlier. That means having conversations about their body at an earlier age, so that if they are exposed to things, the first person that has told them about it already is their parent. We need to normalize using words like vagina, penis, vulva in the house, because then you're taking away the shame behind that. I recently was having a conversation with my children, and they were asking questions about pregnancy and baby. I mean, my 6-year-old asked questions, you know, and the conversation went something, and then one of my children said something about, oh, like with the vulva, like, well, I thought when they cut them out the belly, and I was like, well, sometimes they do, but sometimes it comes out of the vagina. And my 9-year-old's like, what's a vagina? I was like, it's the canal inside of a woman. And he was like, oh, you mean where the split is? And I was like, yes. And he was like, okay. But it was such a natural conversation. There wasn't anything ugly about it. He was just inquiring. And I think
he was asking the question in a safe place with a safe person.
Yes.
Imagine your child going and asking those same questions with someone that had perverted thoughts or was ill-equipped to have that conversation. I'm going to turn that to my Dr. V over here. And that same contents, what's your thought on it?
Well, as Dr. B started off, I think education awareness, would be a good start, helping people to understand, your training. I think community engagement, where we could start hearing the voices of people, and, just as, people say, look up to our civics and our government. And we do have, just like we vote, we do have the right to pull them into the community and talk to them about these issues. And, I'm an advocate for changing policies. I'm very concerned about some of the health issues, some of the health reforms that we have going on right now. If I even jump to that, it would be very, very, all of us.
I love to jump to it, because it's about us.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it starts, and I love that you say bring in the politicians, but before I'm bringing them in, I'm having a conversation with my children, my grandkids.
Yeah.
I think that I need to have that conversation so that they're comfortable. And then if I can advocate at home, then I can go out and advocate too.
Absolutely.
So I love that you said that.
I did want to touch bases on that, but I am a baby boomer. And so my generation were silenced. They didn't talk a lot about that. So I see the big difference from me being a baby boomer to my granddaughters now, they're millennials, and the way that they think, let me go ahead and put religion in here.
Yes.
I don't like to say religion because religion separates people.
Yes.
So I like to use the word being a new minister, definitely understanding, from the beginning, every household is not brought up spiritually. Every household, so we have atheists, we have, one of the biggest thing is religion, that so many of us have different perspectives of who our gods may be, or mother of the universe, all those things. But the key thing is to that, we all have the same thing in common, where we all trying to lean toward unity, harmony, trying to live right, trying to do right? But when we talk about, we have to make the distinctive between religion and spiritual. When we talk about spiritual, we're spirit being. It's our mind, body, and soul. It's our will. So when I talk about spirituality, so my perspective may not be your perspective. So it starts with your custom and beliefs in your home, how you were brought up. And so my testimony is I have I have a personal experience. That's why I can talk about this with authority. I lived with sarcoidosis for years. In my 20s, I had every medication. I was on all kind of machines, and I literally was headed toward my deathbed. But I remember because of baby boomer, right? My grandmother praying for me. And I asked my grandmother, she covered me. I will never forget the prayer that she prayed with me. And I took that and I believed it with faith. And I believed it. And from this day, I am healed. I don't have sarcoidosis. I don't have any of that.
So if I go back to, and I didn't mean to cut you
Yeah.
off, I'm sorry. So if I go back to our initial question, and our initial question is the young child that has not been educated on about sexual intercourse.
Okay.
And they are also sitting in church. And there is because some of us that are baby boomers have been taught we don't talk about that. So we have the young kids, the millennials and younger, that are struggling with something that we couldn't even talk about, but we're watching them hurting themselves and being abused. How do you have that conversation? How do you start that conversation? Or is the church a safe place to have that conversation with a child about sexual?
Well, I do want to touch on that. So I don't think I've mentioned this. I worked 5 years with a psychiatrist. He did the medication part. I did the counseling. So many of the people that we were seeing started off with children as well. We had a lot of children. And so this was one of the reasons why when we talk about when the system fails you, here's another controversial statement, but this is a true statement. What happened?
We got to get to it quick because we got to get to their question.
So here it is, was the child, the mom didn't want the medication for the child. The child was taking all type of medication for his mental disorder and different things and things that were happening. So what I decided to do, because of the faith and my clients, they really did not want to do the medication. They wanted to base their healing and their child and the education on their faith. So I created my own platform, which is holistic, herbs, all of that. And I've been seeing clients and it doesn't work for everyone. You have to be spirit filled. You have to be a spiritual person that you come to me. And if you want to walk this thing out, but we make sure that the child titrates down from the medication. And still today, that child and that mom is working very good together because the child has been titrated. And I don't know what you would call it, but she based it on her faith.
Okay.
And the child is doing well.
Okay, I like that. But I do think that at some point, you have to have a conversation, a true conversation with your child. That's not my place, as that's not my child, but I would hope that we can have an open conversation with the children when there is a need, because kids today, they're going to get on social media. They're going to get with their friends. We're going to ill prepare them for what is out there that's going to take advantage of them if we don't have a conversation. Go ahead.
I will say that I do think that there's a place for conversation about sex in the church. The church really speaks on community, right? So even as parents, we could have support groups inside. I think this is very needed, just being a mom of a 13, 14-year-old, of how we're navigating these conversations.
Yes.
And just like we have support groups for people that have experienced death. And we have survivors of various healthcare things. I think there should be a space for that for parents that are navigating teenagers.
Yes.
Parents that are navigating toddlerhood
Mhm.
and the transition into puberty.
Yes.
So you can have authentic conversations about your frustrations and how we should, take the scripture, what we believe from a faith, and then also take what Abigail was saying earlier about the realities that they're exposed to a lot of things.
Yes.
They have phones,
Yes.
they
Yes.
have friends, they have
Yes.
friends that have older siblings.
Yes.
And how do we navigate that? Talking about menstruation.
Yes. Well, I want to make sure that we're not just talking to ourselves, because sometimes we can get into a conversation and we're just talking to ourselves.
Mhm.
So I want to bring in Abigail and Aaron, if you guys can.
Mhm.
Our comments have been blowing up on this conversation because it's a little different than we normally have had in a while.
Mhm.
But I wanted to be open and free with this. Let's give some of these comments. Give me some of the comments and conversation.
I want to go to Amy's question. She said,
And if we can keep it short on our responses back to them so that we can get through.
Get
them.
through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Amy said, when people get abused or witness abuse but are not ready to complain about that, what are your thoughts on that? What should they do?
Repeat that one more time.
I think basically she's saying like, how should we address when people are abused or like witness abuse and things like that? How that can impact them and how should we address that?
Well,
I'm not a
sorry,
therapist.
something Kishi had said is like when they're not ready to complain or ready to talk about it.
I think that
Yes.
and I'm going to speak from a non-licensed person because I have experienced abuse, sexual abuse. Allow that person space to have the conversation when they're ready. Give that person a safe environment to feel what they're feeling. And then when they are ready to start talking, they're going to feel comfortable and safe with you. But let that safeness be something that's not around what have happened with them.
Yeah.
Let them gain a relationship. So
Yeah.
I'm going to turn this to Dr.
Yeah.
Bourque, then I'm going to come to you. If you guys, anyone that wants to take this question, both doesn't have to.
I agree with you. I think that giving
Yeah.
people space to heal internally is important.
Mhm.
And I think we're moving in the right direction when it comes to mental health.
Yes.
There are counselors out there that are very focused on trauma-informed counselors
Mhm.
that can help people navigate that a little bit more systematically.
Mhm.
Because those traumas, although they are mental and there's an emotional component to it that does impact health.
Mhm.
And in many cases, even what I see in my clinic, the pelvis is a place that a lot of people carry
Yes.
trauma.
Yes.
And so it then starts to impact various areas of your life, including your future sexual
Yes.
health, but also pelvic pain, emotions that are taken then and internalized into your body that then impacts your health. Your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight system, kind of can
Kicks
go into
in.
overdrive.
I like that. Okay. The next one.
Oh, sorry. I actually kind of wanted to comment on that.
No, let's
sorry.
keep it going. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean
No,
any harm,
no,
Aaron.
you're
I
good,
want to
you're
get to
good.
some of these comments because we gotta
So
wrap
we
it up.
had Bio Review come back and say some when we were talking about abstinence only education versus safe sex education. And he said a couple things. He said, if anyone said they have sex outside of marriage and not experience deficits in development and growth and having needs met, just one person, I will think otherwise. There's another comment that says, should I say use condoms when I know how risky they are? Should I say use birth control when I see the impact? Should I say you need to explore when that exploration should be reserved for one person?
Wow. That was a
good.
lot. And that was a
Mhm.
lot. And Bio Review, I love your name, first of all. And I appreciate your commentary and your question here. When I think of, well, I'm not going to give you what I think. I'm going to turn to, we're going to keep it short and cute. What would you say to his questions? Or would you like him to, you want to read back? Or did you take
Yeah.
one of them or his statements?
Could you read one back?
Yeah. Should I say use condoms when I know how risky they are? Should I say use birth control when I see the impacts? Should I say you need to explore when that exploration should be reserved for one person?
Mm.
Well, first of all, it's a choice. It's his choice,
Mm-hmm.
her choice. And so
I
we
love
do
that.
have programs that support what he's asking. We have programs that support if you go into I think it's DHS, where you can get condoms, you can get you anything that you want. You can go get checked pretty much. See if you have STDs, and it supports. And I don't know about the law here in Texas,
But I think we have people all over the world listening to us. So this comment may be, I don't know where he's coming from, but I know we had some people. Yeah. So we want to make sure that when we're responding.
So pretty much is worldwide. Like, you can go to different programs. We have support groups. You just have to find the information, the websites here pertaining to his state.
Yes.
But it's his choice.
It's his.
Yes.
I love that you said it's his choice.
Mhm.
And it's her choice.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's just, we don't live in an ideal world.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it'd be ideal if nobody hurt people and nobody, had sex outside of marriage and nobody, lied or cursed or did all these things. That's of course ideal, but that's not the world we live in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to teach all aspects of it.
I think about it's so much going on with the entertainment community. I don't know why my mind just flipped to that, because just thinking about how many young people went into entertainment so excited, so innocent, and just a very short period of time, their innocence was snatched away from them. So do we say that, just hold yourself until you're married when someone has already violated you? Or do we say that that person is not worthy of being treated like or treated like a human being and special because someone violated them without their permission?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying with that. And I think what came to mind when you said that is back to that compassion. Like, we cannot leave information out because of our belief.
Yes.
We have to be able to allow people to have that choice by having full understanding. And we're missing the opportunity to give somebody full understanding when we don't give them the education about birth control.
Yes.
When we don't give them information about condom that can impact them lifelong. We're not being preventative, despite your beliefs and your intent being of, compassion and or not, just being your beliefs being, imposed on other people. You have to give the education so people can make an informed decision, what would be best for them, what would be best for their values, their faith, and everything.
One of the things I think this conversation has done, and it's done for me, is that we're having a conversation. And you have to take the opportunity to take your biased opinions off, put them to the side, and be open to what someone is going on with them at that particular time. And it always starts with the younger generation. I want to say to the younger generation, because they have so much exposure that we didn't have as young adults. And if you're sitting over here trying to protect them in the same way that we were protected, sorry, it's not going to happen that way, because they have things that they are actually able to be exposed, that get information through that we can't. So let them feel like, let these young adults, let my grandbabies, and I love my grandbabies. I'm pretty, you want to get under my nerves, mess with my grandbabies. Gotcha. Let them feel comfortable enough to come and have a conversation with their moms, with their grandmothers about things that may be shocking, that maybe you didn't feel comfortable as a young adult their age having, or even a kid having a conversation with yours about. Don't shut them down. When we're shutting people down from a conversation, we're only hurting people. You're not helping them. So we're going to come with final thoughts. We're going to wrap this thing up. I'm so sorry. I love this. I think we need to have more conversation about healthy sexual intercourse, sex life. I think we need to have more conversation about how we can help, where the conversation should take place. Should it take place in the home? Should it take place in the church? Should it take place with your doctor, in your doctor's office? I just know that the conversation has to happen. So with that being said, I'm going to start with the final thoughts, starting with Dr. V. What was your experience like? And did we kind of shock you with this conversation? Did you think it was going one way and then we took it another way? And that's usually what God do. So tell us how you feel about the conversation.
It very interesting. Still every day, always learning something new. But just one particular thing, I want to take the stigma out of the church. The church does not judge things. We know our society, what we are facing. So we bring in licensed professionals who are expertise in these areas. We have support groups. We have mentorship. We have support groups with our college students. So we are steadily trying to bring great awareness to the children when they're facing different things. And so the church is a healing. It's a healing place.
It's the healing place.
It's the healing
So
place.
where is your church at? And can you tell them how they can find you real quick? And what your experience was on the Love and Victory show with Val?
We are Heart to Heart International Inc. And we have our services right here off Kirkendall at Comfort Inn. And that's on every Sunday from 11 o'clock to 1:30. And it's free. Anybody can come. You know, we're not judgmental. Anybody can come, and we are here to offer support and love. And so the next thing is my experience here.
Yes.
It was very good. It was very informational. I enjoyed the questions that we had, and I enjoyed the conversation. And I think bringing greater awareness and letting people know that, we all are different. We all have different perspectives. We all have a different philosophy in life. And we are just here to support and gain knowledge and help support the issues that are happening. And so we have a worldwide of a system that's broken, that still need help.
Yes.
So this is one reason why we have opened up our own empires. And this is one, being here with Val, to be able to talk freely in conversation about religion, about sex, about, things, some places you can't talk this on other platforms.
I think a lot of that, and I appreciate you saying that. I think I'm going to come back to that at the end with my conversation of being able to talk about everything
freedom
tastefully on this platform.
Amen.
All right. And same question to you. And how can they find you?
Yeah. So what I have found in this, it was wonderful. I love the conversation. And I feel as though one of the things that I loved most about it is getting different perspectives and also understanding that your belief, like I'm a person of faith, and a lot of times I've found just in my history that educating people empowers them to be able to make good decisions. And I use that in my clinic every single day, giving education, no matter what your background is, whatever your beliefs are. My clinic, again, is Awareness Pelvic Health. I am located in the Heights. You can find me on social media at Dr. Mamawah Bourque, and I give a lot of sexual health education as well as pelvic health education, so that people can at least go to the right places to learn more, either for themselves or that they can communicate it to other people, so that we can all be better and not feel as though the system is failing us.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And your experience on the
man, it was very positive.
Okay, good.
Very positive.
They were all right to you.
Yeah. And of course, I hope I come back again. But
always,
I just love that you've created a platform for people to have honest conversations about various topics that people can actually chime in on in real time and enjoy nice music in the background, and even just talk about hot topics that relate to social media and life.
I think I'm just so excited to have you guys on here, and I'm gonna wrap that up about you. But I gotta go to them, and then I'm gonna come back, and we're gonna close this thing out. Go ahead, darling.
So you guys know I love these topics. I get real passionate about things, and I like that we're able to have these like healthy conversations because we're not always going to agree on things.
Right.
I like that, the Carter crew and every guest we have always keeps it really respectful. You have your ideas, I have mine. And I think that this conversation is an important one to have. I know, sometimes they don't always go the exact direction we think they're going to go, right? We were like, we're going to talk about it because it's Black History Month, but it went a completely different direction, and that's okay. Because sometimes that happens because God is trying to tell you this is something somebody out there needs to hear in this moment. So I really enjoyed today's conversation.
All righty. And Aaron?
Yeah, no, today's conversation is very interesting. Kind of like what Abby says, not what I was expecting, but you never know what to expect on the Love Victor show with Val. But no, I think overall, I would say this. No matter what disagreement you have, and no matter what a person is going through, whether you're struggling or you see someone struggling, right? It is a holy moment to sit with someone in their pain. And I think what we don't do a very good job of is following up with them. So it's like we have a conversation and then we'll leave it at that. Or like we'll be like, oh, I'm sorry when it's happening, but we don't check in on them like 3 months, 6 months, And so I just want to encourage you that if you don't have anyone in your life, then maybe you might need to find another circle, because we should all have that support. We shouldn't like depend on them, but we should all have some kind of support around us.
Wonderful. And
Sorry, Brother Carter did have a comment real quick.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, I told you my baby was going to be
you want to wrap up his final thoughts?
Okay,
too.
there you go.
He said, knowledge and understanding surely helps us to know what good and bad when having sex. Love the show. Very informative. Looking forward to the next episode. Smiley.
All righty then. I want to say, I love you, baby. I have to say that I didn't know. I mean, I had one vision for the show. And once again, God had a whole nother show. And I love how God always come into this show and take over. It's kind of like him setting me on this platform and saying, go do a radio show. Who, what, me? He makes no mistakes. As you said, Abigail, there is someone out here that was listening, needed to hear what we had to say, what you all brought to the table. It was an amazing conversation. I thank God for these two powerful women that were comfortable enough in their skin to have this conversation from a spiritual place, from being a woman of God that truly loved God and open enough to share her journey and her insecurities and where God brought her from. And then also from another woman of God that is powerful in her own right. That also cares about the whole body, and having that conversation about sex. I am 59 years young, and I love to put young on there because you can still be young in heart. And I still want to see the younger generation be whole. I want them to feel comfortable having a circle that a safe circle that they can sit down and have a conversation with a woman, or if it's a male with another male, to help them walk through whatever they're going through in their sexual concerns. And so to have you guys here to help me navigate this conversation, I think was phenomenal. And of course, before I end this show, I have to tell my husband, I thank you so much, Brother Carter, for always, I'm not going to call you Brother Carter, Lawrence, for always having my back. Whether you are here or whether you are not there, you are always have my back, and you give me that safe place to have a conversation. And I felt so safe having this sexual conversation with my husband being present in the conversation. So a lot of times we as women feel like, if I say this, oh, is my man going to get mad? If I say this, is my dad going to get mad? No, have the conversation, because it's going to be healing for somebody and healing for yourself. We're going to wrap this thing up, and until next time. Oh, do we have to leave them with something, or we got it early?
I think we're good.
We're good?
Yeah.
All right then. And if everybody can look at the camera and tell the people bye, and until next time.